Lance, you guys talk about sudden change on defense probably every single day. That was probably a little bit of a different situation the other night where your side of the ball, I'm sure, thought they were done for the night, and then not making an excuse for what happened. But I'm sure.
Kind of, you always have the guys ready, until it's over with. So you don't want to celebrate. That's just coach talk, which you always do. You're always talking to the kids until the horn blows and the play's blown dead. You got to be ready. Went out there just in base defense, nickel defense, and I knew that they needed a field goal to tie and a touchdown to win. So you can't get too soft, so we played regular coverage. We rushed a little bit, got an incompletion on the first one. The second one, I actually thought TC was going to pick. And when they had 15 seconds left, I was going kind of through my mind. I really wanted to pressure him, was what I really wanted to do, because he really had two plays. If he throws an out route or anything like that, they can line up and kick a field goal. And we ended up running just regular coverage, and we got some movement on him, and he moved out of the pocket, and the receiver broke off the route. Hindsight, as a coach, you're always trying to what could I have done, and I really should have pressured him in that point. If it got to the last play, then went with a prevent defense and try to play jump ball in the end zone. But it's on me. My job as a defense coordinator is to get to stop at the end. That's what I'm hired to do, and I talked to the players. I told them the same thing. It's not on them. It's on me. That's my job, and that's what you do as a coach. You put it on your back, and you get them going quick the next week, and let's get going. You got another game to play in 7 days. So,
Coach, North Carolina changed offensive coordinators, but still has the same quarterback that has been really efficient, has been one of the most efficient in the country. What have you noticed about that offense that puts him in such a good position to succeed each week?
He's an experienced guy. He's got a great arm. He moves well. He's a lot like the guy from Texas A&M for his movement, but I think he's more polished because he's older. He's a true NFL quarterback. Can throw the ball on time, can create time with his legs. He's got great accuracy. You can't fool him, even though we're going to try to fool him. But he's really good. The receivers are a good crew. Offensive line is experienced, and tight ends are combo guys. They block well, but they run better pass routes. And their running backs are physical runners. They're not scat backs, but they run through arm tackles. So it'd be the best challenge, the best offense we faced yet, I think.
Going back to the last play, just how has Cam handled it these last few days, or in that moment?
I put myself in his shoes. It's actually happened to me as a player before. My last game, my senior year, it was at halftime. It wasn't the end of the game, but there was no more game for me to play. So I probably took it a lot harder than Cam did. But Cam, being the guy he is, he wants to put it on himself. But I quickly that night talked to him, also called him on the phone, texted him, and said, look, you got to put it behind you. There's a lot of plays in the game. And we could pinpoint different games. But, as a player, that's the way you're going to feel. As a coach, it's the way you should feel. Like, what could I have done differently? So you just got to learn from it, move on. It's not his fault. There's a lot of plays in the football game.
With Drake, have you coordinated against a quarterback like him in your past?
Played against some good ones. Coached against some good ones. I don't think I've coached against one that is good as him and has the people around him. Coached against Luke McCowan. He was a really good player, but he didn't have the people around him like this guy does. They're really good at what they do, and it's a challenge. It is. They can get you in different ways. You play man, you play zone, you pressure. So they're good at what they do. There's a reason why they're ranked one of the top offenses in the country. He's got one of the highest quarterback ratings in the country. I think they're averaging over 500 yards of offense. So it's going to be a challenge, but, we're going to be excited to go down there and redeem ourselves, of course.
Lance asked Martin the same thing, but they're returning Tez Walker. He came back last week. How do you compare to somebody who is coming back from a weird situation and you only have, one game to work the film on him, really?
But first of all, good for him. You never want a guy that has eligibility left not to be able to play. So we're supposed to be in this profession for the kids, and I think they did the right thing. Talented guy, big guy, can run. You really don't worry about him individually because they got other receivers. If it was just him, it'd be different. You could prepare and double cover him, but they got other guys that can hurt you. So you really got to break down the offense and try to stop the things they do well. And then on third down, maybe you can lean on him a little bit, but they got other players. You can't focus on just him.
I know obviously you were here last year, but Miami did one of the better jobs stopping, slowing down their offense last year, and they were prolific last year too. Is there anything that you can take from that game, even though it's, you know, different in a bunch of different ways, anything you can take from that game and import to this year?
Usually what you did well last year and what you saw, they're going to change. So I'm not going to use none of that, but you just break down as many games as you can. You try to find out the games that the coordinator called, and he's a little bit of everything. He's a little bit of Gus Malzahn. His run game came from North Texas a little bit, so he's been with different people, and he does a good job at what he does, and he'll look at us defensively, and he'll have a good plan for us, and we'll have to counter with whatever he sees.
You've told us previously you prefer to rush 5, right? Because that's what they don't want you to do. Is that philosophy still firm against a guy like a Drake May who is?
I think you got to change up things. You know, you might rush 3, you might rush 4, you might rush 5, you might rush 6, you might bring everybody. You're going to have to mix it up and not tip your hand. And you might have to double call some things. So there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of meat to the bone right there, and we'll have to do a good job of trying to confuse him. So we got to empty the playbook and do whatever we need to do to try to get this win because we're going against a really good offense.
How about their run game?
Run game's good. They're solid. Their offensive linemen stay on blocks. They're big. They can kind of swallow you up a little bit. I think it's the best unit we've played against. Not scared of them by any means, but they're good. The tight ends are good blockers. They're better catching the ball and running, but the running backs are the difference. They run through arm tackles, so we're going to have to hit them at the line and chop them down, and because they're thick. They're all 220-pound guys. We've been facing a lot of scat backs. So.
How about Branson Dean? This was his first game back in a while.
Yeah, he played good. He played probably 23 snaps. Hopefully we'll get to play him more, around 30 hopefully this week, but he was good, especially down the stretch. He played some meaningful snaps at the end, which was really good. So, yeah, getting him back is going to be, you know, full tilt's going to be awesome.
The James Williams pick, how big was that for his confidence?
Big. You know, James, it seems like he's getting better and better. His confidence is getting more and more. He's, you know, I'm excited for him because I think he feels good about himself, and that's the most important thing. And I coach him hard. I really do. I don't give him a lot of breaks, and he'll tell you that, but I always tell him I love him, and I'm coach him hard because I'm trying to bring out the best in him, and I think he's responded really well to me. And Coach Adai does a great job in the film room breaking things down. So.
You know, you've coached in a lot of different places, been around. The one thing just observing from the outside looking in the last few days is this looks like a really tight organization where, you know, no one's pointing fingers. Yeah. You guys seem in this thing all together through a pretty tough moment the other night. Can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, in life in general, you go through things. And sometimes you're not prepared for things, and sometimes you self-inflict. But family stays together, and that's what we preach around here. And this is Coach Cristobal's home. He's a product of Miami. I was a product of McNeese. I was the head coach at my alma mater, so I had guys for me that were McNeese alum as well. So I understand family. These players have been through a lot, and I'm just here to assist. I understand family, and I think we're close. We're going to take losing hard, and we're not going to blame anybody, and we're going to love each other when we win and lose. And I see a tight group. I see us responding. Whether we win or not, I don't know, but I don't think we'll lay down by any means. And we didn't lay down the other night. You know, I told the defensive guys they were in some tough spots, and I never saw them break. Even at the end, we didn't break. We just had a mishap, I thought, and we'll learn from it. But I really like this team. I like this coaching staff. We got a lot of guys that get along, and that's the most important thing in an organization is that people are unified, and that's what I see on this staff.
Is that defense and offense, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
sometimes the defense is here and the offense is here. Do these guys kind of intermingle? Or are they
Very close. Offense usually beats us at practice, you know, when we go against each other. So we got a lot of faith in the offense, and we've seen it, and it's not a fluke. You know, last game, maybe they didn't play as well as they liked, but, you know, in some moments in games we didn't play as well, and the offense had our back. So we're a football team, we're a coaching staff, we're a family, and we're going to have each other's back, and there's no separation. I don't see any. And I've only been here a year, but I like what we're building here, and I like the family structure here.
You came into the anecdote from 30 years ago. How crazy is it about pay something, you know?
Say it again?
You came in and talked about the anecdote that had happened.
Yeah.
A lot of us remember some
Well, it was my last game of my senior year. We were in the playoffs, of course, in FCS football. You play in the playoffs, so your last one is determined if you win or lose. And we were playing against Troy. Troy had moved up from Division II to 1AA. FCS now was 1AA, and we were a talented team. We were at home. And right before half, I had a great safety on the other side of me named Zach Bronson. He played with Coach Rump for years at the 49ers. And the quarterback scrambled one way, and he went back the other way, and he threw it in the end zone. And I was back on the hash, and I was in the end zone, actually. And I jumped, and Zach thought I was going to pick it, and he just watched me. And the ball went right over the top of my hands to the receiver in the back of the end zone. And that put them up by 14. And then they ran the opening kickoff back. And then it was like 21. And then we were playing catch-up the whole time. So those plays stick with you as a player, you know, probably more so than a coach. But I've had it happen to me as a coach, getting beat on the last play. And it's never good, but you try to learn from it and go on. And it builds a lot of character, you know.
Coach, I remember, I think it was after the first or the second week, I can't remember specifically, but you talked about the growth of Nigel Lee Kelly. And then going to the ACC stage this week, I think he had 2 tackles. How do you notice he's fed off the leadership, Ransom Dean, et cetera?
Well, Nigel Lee's getting healthy, of course. He had an ankle sprain, and last week he played more than he did the week before. So he's getting close to being fully healthy. But having those experienced guys out there like Dean's going to help, of course. Still waiting on the call on Mesidor, because that's another guy we got missing. So we'll go from there, but we're getting healthier at the right time, and we're getting into the thick of conference play.
And so the pass plays that were given up, I'm sure that's the focal point, but how your pass defense played leading up to that, what'd you think of that? Obviously, you got a challenge this weekend.
Well, going into the last, I looked at the scoreboard, and they give the stats, and I couldn't believe that they only had like 77 yards passing. I think they was at 99 rushing because one of their snaps went way back and put them behind 100. You know, I thought we played well. I thought we matched routes. We pressured the quarterback, and it was one of our better games, but we didn't end it the way we needed to. So this week going in, we're going to have to play well. I mean, we might play well and give up 300 yards passing, but if we keep the ball in front of us and we force field goals, it's good. So numbers can kind of sometimes be skewed. To me, it's if you win or lose. Whatever those points are, they are. Whatever the yards are, they are. You need to get the W. That's the most important thing in football is that final stat. And on our goal board, I think we got 15, 16 stats. And number one, the most important is win or loss. And we didn't get it this week, and that's the only thing that matters is the first one.
Your secondary, almost all 5 guys. I think Jaden got in there, I think, on the corner.
Yeah.
Do you sense maybe you might have to, or you might go to other corners or this week?
God, sometimes it's the flow of the game, how many points you're up. Get them in a good spot, because when you want to get them in, you want to have them get in a good situation. You don't want them to go in when we're backed up or the game is real close and there might be a trick play come in. So you want to have some breathing room so those guys can play in spots to where they have a good chance. But when it's really tight, you want to go with the guys that, you know, kind of got you there, and the experienced guys and the ones that have kind of earned the right to be the first teamer. So.
Anything else for Coach Guidry?